Hundreds of people are now homeless following a rather vicious storm that hit Ladysmith at the weekend.
Many houses were completely destroyed while others had their roofs blown away by gale force winds.
Now, the affected families are being housed in community halls in the area.
KwaZulu-Natal Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs MEC Nomusa Dube is expected to visit the area today to conduct an assessment of the damage. Well, in Ladysmith this morning, we find our colleague, ENC reporter Dasen Tatia. Dasen, good morning. Just an overriding question first. What is it like this morning in Ladysmith as people are waking up after that devastating storm?
That's right, Dan. In fact, you wouldn't even say that that was the case if you looked up, because the sun is really scorching this morning. But once again, after that storm on Saturday night, the residents here at Mbulwane, that's where we are at the moment, just about 15 minutes out of Ladysmith itself, they didn't have much of a reprieve because we were also in the area last night and there was a hailstorm. The rain was really lashing down. And I imagine this comes after that vicious storm on Saturday night, which left many of the homes looking like the one that you see behind me at the moment. About 70 of them did have their walls collapse. Residents lost many of their belongings during that storm. But I think the saddest part of it all was that it really just happened in about 30 minutes or so, and that's what residents say. It was really quick, and thereafter the rain subsided, and it just left in its wake all of this damage that you see now.
Now, Deson, we understand that all the affected families, or most of them, are being held in community halls in the area. But how are they coping? How are they managing? I mean, Ladysmith is not a very large area, and in terms of resources and getting resources to them, how are they getting on?
That's right. In fact, some of them have come back to their homes during the day, and this was yesterday while we were out here. Disaster management officials are also doing an assessment in the area. So a lot of them coming in during the day, and in fact today as well we saw a few of these residents back at their homes trying to rebuild what they can, because as you would understand, staying at a community hall is really only a temporary solution. Fortunately, government officials were also quite quick to move on this, as well as the Al Imdad Foundation, which was here yesterday handing out food parcels, other emergency supplies. You'll see some structures like this, like the little wooden structure behind me, that are coming up because there have been materials that have also been donated. I saw a truck in the area yesterday handing out sheets of metal. Now that will assist residents put their homes back together, because it's really thrown their lives into disarray. Remember, today this is a school morning, and many of the kids in this area, and there are a lot of them, won't be going to school because their school uniforms and their books have been damaged during the storm.
Listen, looking at that structure you just showed us, the wooden structure, that surely cannot be a permanent solution. Hopefully the MEC for Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs, Nomusa Dube, when she comes to that area today for assessment, she'll realize that they need more permanent solutions, more permanent structures.
Dan, she was actually here yesterday, in fact. She had come to oversee the disaster management teams doing their work on the ground. And one of the things that she said to me while she was here was that residents can't live here at all. So apart from finding permanent solutions, they can't be here because this area is what the department considers a danger zone. So the ideal solution here is to actually relocate these residents. Unfortunately, there isn't a plan in place just yet. They still have to have those discussions with the local municipality and other government departments to see exactly what they can do. I mean, just looking around this area, there are quite a number of residents here. I don't have an exact number just yet, but I mean, if you look at the damage, or at least the impact on 300 to 400 people, that should give you a sense of what this area looks like and how many people they would have to relocate.
So, just for some clarity, when you say that the MEC says that these families, these homes should not be there in the first place, that there's not an area for housing, I mean, are we to understand then that these have been illegally built on this? And surely they didn't just spring up overnight. Somebody would have known that, you know, people were living there in all of this time. And then also added to that, why allow them to rebuild, or why let them rebuild only to have them relocated later, like you see behind you?
That's true. So I asked her that question yesterday, and she says to me that this is privately owned land. Now, the holdup is that they would still need to negotiate with those landowners and come up with some kind of solution, because some of those owners are collecting rentals from the people that are on this land. And yes, some of the structures are in fact illegal, but it seems like there is no quick solution to this. You know, it's much like informal settlements that you see as well, Yuveka. I mean, in many cases, those are illegal occupations, but then yet municipalities end up providing services, because you can't exactly just kick all of these people out of a certain plot of land until you have some kind of viable solution. So I think it's very much a similar situation here, and those talks will have to happen fairly quickly, just looking at the nature of the storms that are taking place, because it certainly is a danger for everyone living here.
Dustin, before we let you go, very briefly now, those families who are being housed in community halls, is the expectation that they'll be there for most of this week, or until they return to some form of structures in their homes?
Well, it seems like they will be there for at least the duration of this week. I mean, as you see behind me, rebuilding is going to take quite a while. But apart from that, just very quickly, Dan, I spoke to the owner of the house behind me, Mduduzi Mzinyane, earlier, and in fact he was on the way to his child's school just to inform them that his children won't be there for the rest of the week. And the other thing that he was doing was making arrangements to get counseling for him and his family. So apart from rebuilding the structures, there are all of these other peripheral issues around it that need to be dealt with before people can move back into the area and get their lives back on track.
Dustin, thank you very much. That's ENC reporter Dustin Taja on the ground there in the Ladysmith area after that weekend storm. People mopping up operations, and the long journey to rebuild their homes begins.
And